scriptures. What are the scriptures of a Hindu? So many sages came and they took up these ideas and expounded them in a huge number of sacred books. With time, the principles, practices, and sacred books grew into unfathomable size. So now, if you ask any Hindu to practice everything that is there, say in the Vedas, in the Upanishads, in Mahabharata, in Ramayana, in Bhagavatam, it's just not possible. It's just not possible. So what the sages did was, they made things easy. Sages were great people. They made easy. And they told their disciples, look, you follow just this much. Now this created kind of spiritual kinship. We are discussing something very important. Normally, you won't come across this anywhere. Spiritual kinship. Now, you might have heard of some of these great sages like Vishwamitra and Vasishtha. What they did was, they had their ashrama, they had their families, and young ones used to go to learn, and a spiritual kinship used to be born. For example, Sri Krishna and Sudama, they had same spiritual kinship. Slowly, this came to be known as Gotra. It's very important term, Gotra. Somebody, if you can write in the chat, I'm not in a position to write, Gotra. The Gotra basically meant spiritual kinship. Say, spiritual family. And Gotra was acquired first through birth. You are born into a particular family, so you have this Gotra. Through marriage. So normally a female gets married to some gentleman, and then she acquires that Gotra. And third, the most important thing is through discipleship of a guru. You become the disciple of a guru and you get a Gotra. It's a very, very important thing. So who is a Hindu? Nowadays you might have come across this question, and many will ask you, who is a Hindu? Anyone who has a Gotra. There is no other definition. There is absolutely no other definition for being a Hindu. The only definition for being a Hindu is you have to have a Gotra, spiritual kinship. Now, supposing there is some foreigner, he says, I want to be a Hindu. You simply have to go to a guru and say, I want to be your disciple. And from that day, that becomes your Gotra. And Gotra, it is just not a stamp. It's not just a stamp of approval. It's a spiritual kinship. And then you need to follow whatever he has told, whatever the practices are. So, for example, many foreigners become monks of the Ramakrishna order, Ramakrishna mission. And they follow whatever Ramakrishna mission asks them to follow. And these things are based on the traditional Hindu religion, and as also these practices come from the words of Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda. So this actually, a Hindu follows the traditions of a Gotra. Now, when I was, say, back home, I was following the traditions of my family. Now I am a monk. I am following the Gotra of the Ramakrishna mission. So, normally a Hindu follows the traditions of Gotra. That's the normal thing. Or teaching of some saint. Nowadays, there are so many saints, so people follow this saint, that saint. And these saints again in turn follow some scripture. So you'll find that someone is a follower of Srimad Bhagavatam, someone is a follower of Shiv Mahapuran, someone is a follower of the Upanishads. Ultimately, all these things have their roots, have their foundations in the Vedas. Now, Gotra Dharma Hindu Dharma is a very old religion. Gotra Dharma resulted in Kula Dharma, family traditions, this kinship. And from there it became Jati Dharma. There were people who were into same kind of profession. So there was a particular caste-based thing. And later, Some great sages like Manu, they said these differentiations are so huge that he, not only Manu, many of those great sages came up with the concept of four varnas. That means all the Hindus were broadly classified into four. So essentially, it began with Gotra Dharma. From there, it became Kula Dharma. For example, those of you who are in Delhi and Punjab, etc., you know that whenever marriages take place, people will say, well, this is our family tradition. हमारे यहाँ तो ऐसा ही होता है जी. So is family tradition important? Extremely important. Because in Hinduism, we don't have umbrella of codes. Everything is permitted here. If your family practices it, well and good. But that practice must have its root in some spiritual teacher, who again must be rooted in some sacred book of the Hindus, about which we will discuss in the next talk, which again must have its root in the Vedas.